Welcome to the Workbench. My name is Doug. Has this ever happened to you? So you get everything lined up, get prepared to sew, take off, and the thread pulls right out of the needle. All right, you begin and all of a sudden, clanky noise and a big old bird's nest underneath. Or if you're sewing along, everything's fine and all of a sudden, pop, thread breaks and you wonder what happened. So I'm here to show you how to stitch without a hitch. So let's tackle this one thing at a time. First we saw that the thread was pulling out of the needle. So the solution to that is to ensure that when you're threading the machine or even ready to take off with the machine to start sewing, that your take-up lever be at its highest position. This is a mechanical machine, so it's randomly going to stop wherever it wants to when you release the foot pedal. But that's the benefit of our electronic machines with the automatic needle up, needle down button. It will position that take-up lever to its highest point when your needle's up. How about that? Example number 2 is easy to do. It's simply missing the take-up lever. We've all done it. I've done it before. So just make sure that the take-up lever is all the way up to the top when you route your thread and begin your sewing. So example number 3 could have been caused by several reasons. The biggest part is going to be possibly because you're running low on thread. Maybe you're not using the proper spool cap. So if I demonstrate here, if I place this thread on to the spool with the large spool cap, because most of the thread is removed from the spool, as it comes away it comes very tight and then loose. So normally with a suggestion like this, if I was running low like that, I'd remove that spool cap and then add my upright spool pin. That way when I was coming off that edge, it would pull off freely. Another thing, sometimes you might have a very small spool and maybe just the size of the spool cap is too large for the spool. So then if you were to go to a larger spool cap with this, of course, you're going to get the same result. It's going to pull tight and then it's going to whip off there and pull loose. So the best thing to do in this kind of case again is to use your upright so that you get a nice easy flow. For me, I've always just got into the habit that when I'm threading a machine, I position the spool cap and the spool onto the machine. And I also want to make sure that as the thread's pulling off, that it's wrapping from the bottom side going towards the back side. I'll put the spool cap in place. I'll position my thread through the first thread guide that you run into and just pull a foot or two off to ensure that you're getting a nice, even, slow pull. You may run into once in a while, especially if you have some of the older thread, you may find that the spool has a little notch here to hold your thread that you hook it into. Well, you have to ensure that the spool cap is large enough to whip the thread away from that groove or else it could be caught. Sometimes it's the smallest things. So now that you know, get out and sew.